The government is convinced there is 14 billion shillings in the country to legally push for regime change in Kenya through civic education programs under several NGOs. President Kenyatta kicked off the storm in his address on Jamhuri Day when he accused foreign donors of harboring a sinister agenda against the government.
There is already money coming into Kenya from abroad in the guise of supporting good governance or civic education. However, its true intention is to influence our electoral choices.
The government has since identified IFES, the International Foundation for Electoral Systems, an American NGO operating in the country, as one of the NGOs allegedly engaging in such illegalities. And on Monday, the NGO Coordination Board ordered IFES to effectively cease its operations. But the High Court today, through Justice George Odunga, has suspended that order, albeit temporarily, until a petition filed by activist Okia Omtata is heard on the 7th of February next year. In his petition, Omtata argues that IFES is a company and not an NGO, and claims that the NGO Coordination Board's Executive Director, Fazul Mohammed, lacks the competence to deregister IFES. The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, had under the Kenya Electoral Assistance Program 2017 set aside some 2 billion shillings that IFES would use to identify and fund local NGOs to conduct a civil education ahead of the 2017 polls. Among the activities IFES was to support include elections coordination, voter registration, civic education, capacity building, advocacy, women and youth participation in elections, consensus and conflict early warning and response. But questions arise as to the timing of this order that seems to have the executive's backing. Despite the fact that IFES has been operating in Kenya for several years now, the NGO board argues that it was not registered as an NGO in Kenya and therefore was operating illegally. However, IFES is not new to electoral assistance operations in the country. It was heavily involved in the 2013 elections, especially in offering IEBC technical assistance in the result transmission systems. Although a senior state official says the government has shared its detailed concerns with IFES, a source at the organization said only a copy of a letter by the NGO board and copied to Interior PS Karanja Kibisho, USAID, as well as the central bank accusing IFES of illegally operating bank accounts in Kenya had been received. Quote, by copy of this letter, the Central Bank of Kenya is advised to immediately preserve all bank accounts and any other funds held under the name of IFES until further communication from this office, reads the statement. The statement further indicates that all foreigners working for IFES, including its chief of party Michael Yard, were in Kenya illegally as they had reportedly not been cleared by the board. And it is a matter that could now very well pit the national government against its own self. Its three arms essentially speaking very different languages on this matter. And despite this temporary reprieve granted by the judiciary today, the executive remains adamant it will not stand by and allow foreign funding to influence the elections come next year. Jackie Maribe, Citizen Weekend in Nairobi.